and welcome to Play the Bounce. It's me again, and yes, I missed you. We all know that life, like rugby, is unpredictable. But how you react to the situation will determine the outcome. Today, that's right, I'm laughing because I'm so excited. What a man. We're chatting to Glasgow Warriors ace and Scotland international Allan Dell. It's going to be a ball of fun. I know you're going to enjoy it. And then, of course, the man with all the stats, the man with more analytics than Pythagoras. You can find the square root. You know who he is. Benedict.
I'm good, man. It's raining in London, so it's beautiful. Like, I love the rain. I love seeing the rain. Today's a beautiful day.
Ladies and gents, we are very spoiled today. We've got the Glasgow Warriors and Scotland International in the house. Can you start the clapping and the screaming? Your hands and mine for Allan Dell. Yes, please. Allan, what's happening, brother?
Hey, man. How's it going? Thanks for having me on, man. Really looking forward to this.
Likewise. Allan, before we go anywhere, I don't want to say that Benedict was exposing you, but he was exposing you. When I jumped onto the call, his first thing was, Dalin, you have to ask Allan about this international most handsome player list that he made it onto at one of the World Cups. He doesn't stop talking about it. Is this true?
Hey, I'm not going to deny it. So if it's there, I'll take it. I'm not going to say no if someone put me on that list. So I'm not too sure about what it was from or if it was a banter take or whatever, but Benny loves it, sends it to me.
Yeah.
And hey, if I can give him a bit of stick about it and say, look at this list, I'm not going to deny where it came from.
Listen, as a bald man who is awkwardly good looking, I thank you for representing us well. So shout out to you for making that list. Okay. Shout out to you.
I'm joining you very, very soon. This headline's hanging on hard. That's why the light's not on, because if the light was on, to be exposing all the bald spots.
No, you're doing well. Benny, what's happening today? How's the juice looking? What's the inside scoop?
No, everything's good. I wanted to go straight into Allan, but then I decided I'll take it slow. So I'm just going to start.
The counter reaction. Eh?
I think there's going to be a reaction. So I'll go straight into it. Like, South African boy, went to Queen's College. It is Queen's College, eh? Yeah. How'd you end up in Scotland, bro? Like, how did that happen?
Long story short, because there's a lot of details that can go into it. So my grandmother's born in Paisley. So from my father's side, his mother, Paisley. I've got family in Motherwell and Carluke, which is a town and a city in between Edinburgh and Glasgow. So I've got family links and blood in the country. Growing up, after we left school, I signed for the Sharks. I played a few years there. There was a bit of a regime change. Jake White and everyone came in, and I think they went for a different direction to what John Plumtree was going. And then I had a good opportunity. So I think it was Scott Johnson at that time was the caretaker of Scottish rugby. He eventually moved on to be director of rugby. He hired Vern Cotter in, and they got in touch with me and said, look, you're eligible to play for Scotland. There's an opportunity for you to come up north. And at that stage, I thought, okay, you know what, things at the Sharks were a bit different. They wanted to go for a different approach to what kind of top player I was. So then I got that opportunity and I took it with both hands. And I've been grateful. I've been fortunate to have the opportunities that I've had. So, well, I'm hoping for many more. But yeah, it was a good opportunity at the time.
Allan, you grabbed it with both hands, and I love how humble you are about things. We're wishing you many more caps for your club and for your country. But what was that moment like when you landed in Scotland as a South African? You're looking around going, weather might not be great. There's a lot of greenery, but most importantly, there's no more rand. The rand is gone. What was that like?
So I didn't go over like a lot of these other boys going over on big money, because I was considered Scottish. So I came over as a young Scottish player. So I got paid what young Scottish players get. I didn't come over like a South African Super Rugby boy who comes over with the big cash, the pounds. They have to take a few extra hand luggage bags for the cash. But no. When I first came over, I came over in the November, just before the November test. I think the Boks played Scotland in 2000 and 13 on the November. I don't know if you remember, the pitch at Murrayfield was shredding up and tearing up. I do remember that. And I landed, so coming from Durban, obviously I was a bit of a Kaba from Queenstown, a little bit like a town boy. And I landed in Glasgow, drove through to Edinburgh in flip-flops, shorts, a t-shirt. I packed a little thin cardigan. I was like, it's not going to be that cold. Let's put the cardigan on. Holy hecker, man. I realized, I was like, this is not South Africa. But no, it was very nice when I arrived in June. June 2014 came over in the middle of summer, beautiful weather for 1 or 2 weeks, beautiful summer. And then it went back to winter again.
Now walk me through this. You know, I always give a lot of banter around people. You're one of the smallest lucid props in the world. Rugby is about size. Everyone says size matters. Size doesn't matter. You've got Cheslin Colby, but you know what? I'll say Cheslin Colby is a wing. You're a prop. You're one of the smaller lucid props in the world. What's that like playing in the front row, a small prop? Do coaches give you grief? Do coaches ask you, put on a bit of size? Walk me through being one of the smaller lucid props in the world.
I think it'll always be a low-hanging fruit if things go wrong. People always look at your size quite quickly. But I'll say, you mentioned it over there, rugby is a game of size and physicality, and you can't hide away from that. You've got rugby is a game for all shapes, sizes, abilities, and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, there's that old saying, a good little fighter will beat a good big fighter, but a good big fighter will always beat a good little fighter. So with saying that, rugby, it's incredibly important to have size. It's incredibly important, but how you use it as well. Because you've got a lot of these guys who are really big, but they can't transfer that size on the rugby field. They can't be dominant with it and stuff. So if you look at all, like Test rugby especially, physicality, the teams that are the most physical win the gain line, impose themselves physically at set piece, scrums, mauls, and obviously have a good kicking game, all of that mixed together. But the bigger your players are, the easier it is essentially to get that gain line into play. But it is tough, I think, especially in the front. I think it's more in the backs, like you mentioned, Cheslin Colby. He's got that ability and he can use his flair and his stepping, so he can avoid contact. Whereas I think if you're more in the forwards, especially more in the front row, your job is that heavy lifting, that heavy duty collisions and all that kind of stuff. So you can't shy away from it or use that agility to especially in a scrum, you can't hide away from a scrum. You've got to man up and front up. And if you look, I think there are not many props in the modern game now, the professional game now, that are under 115. If someone's under 115, they're considered a small front rower, right? So at 106, I think it's you can't hide away from it. Size is very important, but it's not the be all and end all, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And now, Allan, because you're moving continents now, you're going from Africa, you're going to Europe. Did the physicality of the game in South Africa prepare you for this once you made the shift? And did you feel like you managed to navigate things so that you have an edge compared to the locals who are playing in Scotland all the time?
The games are different. Like the physicality, the African physicality, when you play the derbies, the guys want to hurt each other. It's not about like, it's like, I want to hurt this guy, my opposite player. So the physicality in South Africa, going up to the Northern Hemisphere, did help. The speed of the game, obviously, with that physicality was very important growing up through that system. Coming up into the UK, the games were a bit slower, obviously weather dependent. So like you've seen some of the games where the ball is moving at an incredible pace, the physicality is high. But then obviously what I found is the weather impacts a lot of the running rugby and the speed of the game, which then reduces the high speed collision. So the physicality was still there, but it was just in a different sense. Whereas in South Africa, a lot of the time you're playing on a hard surface, the speed is quick, so the collisions are bigger because of the speed of the game. Up north, the weather, the fields get a bit soggy, especially there December, January, February. Fields get a bit soggier, so that's a lot slower, but it's that continuous just bashing up like that to try get the advantage in certain players, a lot of kicking games. And I think the physicality definitely helped growing up with that. Coming over here, it wasn't a shock playing that way. A lot more collisions, a lot lower speed impact, but a lot more collisions because of the speed of the game. There's a lot more direct, close, slow games. But yeah, growing up definitely helped being able to come over and make that shift.
I mean, let's talk a little bit about obviously the differences. I mean, you play in the front row. I've seen props when they get penalized by referees. They always give the puzzled look. Every single prop, whether they are right or wrong, they look at the ref like, "Are you sure it's me?" Like, I've seen you do that a couple of times. Like, walk me through your psyche as a prop when refs make a call. Sometimes when they guess, when they make the wrong call, like, what are you thinking at that stage? And how do you?
He's never at fault, Benedict. He's never at fault.
Whenever I ever given away a scrum penalty, man. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
No, it's tough. I think, first of all, for referees, it's quite difficult, I think. This is obviously a different can of worms that we could go down talking about refereeing and decisions, and how we can help referees and these kind of things. But I think the referee's job is incredibly hard as it is. And then coming into the front row, a lot of it's difficult though, because with the amount of force that's coming through from the two packs meeting in the middle, if one person's angle is a bit off or something like that, you can slip. If someone's foot's too far back, you can slip. And then the refs look at different cues, where it's like the thing about like a loose head's arm going down, or tight head when he's hinging and dropping it. So there's so many little cues that refs have been told what to look for.
We're talking about referees, and you're talking about the elbow and the hinging and the cues. Walk us through those micro details. I mean, the refs obviously have certain cues to look out for in the scrums, and there are a lot more things in a scrum than just the cues. Talk to me.
I think it's a difficult one for referees, because I think they've never been in a scrum. I don't think they've experienced the forces that happen in a scrum. Different little things like a tight head rolling his shoulder to try offset the loose head to go down, and then picking up to try to split the seam between the hooker and the loose head. Yeah. Little things like that. And then sometimes it does drop, but because of the body shape that a tight head holds, he looks like he hasn't dropped it, and looks like the loose head just overextending and going down. So there are a lot. There's so many different things that can happen in a scrum. It's not great.
You've simplified it. The man on the couch, i.e. me, understands it. So we're winning. We're winning, bro.
Hey, well, that's important then, eh?
Yeah. That's why we shout at our TVs, because we don't know, but now we know.
834. Walk me through that number. It's a fantastic tour. The British and Irish Lions tour. I mean, you guys were part of the so-called Geography 6. I mean, talk to us about the importance of the Lions. I mean, South Africa just won the Lions tour recently. Talk to us about the importance of the Lions tour and just being part of the 2017 tour, even a micro bit, what it meant, the criticism from outside and inside, and what it's about.
It's special, man. It's a big privilege to be able to represent the Lions. It's I think throughout the whole history, what it means to people and families and all that stuff. It's a real honor to be able to get given that opportunity, and then also to be able to wear the jersey in a game and then get capped and then get your number. It's just something that I'm incredibly proud of. My family are very proud of it. So I think my tour was very short, so there's not a lot of story to talk about this one. But no, it was good. The environment, obviously, when we came in, the six of us, the four Welsh boys, and then Finn and myself from Scotland, we came in and then we got labelled the Geography 6. So there was a lot of drama with that coming in. I think a lot of outside voices. There was a lot of heat on the coaches, on Warren Gatland, like, why are you bringing these people in? You're devaluing the jersey because they didn't come from the start. There's a lot of hostility from the outside. I remember the one time someone showed me a message, there's a joke on Twitter, and someone was like, "Oh, I know why Warren Gatland got Allan in, because he was asking the analysis team what are the best computers to analyze on, and he said Dell." So then they called Dell in. So that was really funny. But yeah, then coming
find out who that person is. I'll hunt him down. I'm gonna hunt him down. You find out who they are.
We need to hunt that man down and give him a beer, man, because that's very good. I love that kind of stuff.
Allan, thanks so much for your honest and sincere insights. We appreciate it, man. It's like we were chilling in the locker room after a match and just sharing some wisdom. And if this was a locker room setup, my South African question to you, I've got two, right? The first one, because you're local, I Googled this 500 times to make sure. You're from Humansdorp, but I drive through there when I go to the Eastern Cape. Is it Humansdorp or Humansdorp? Please give me the pronunciation, asseblief.
My friend, I was just born there. I lived there for like a year or 2 years. I grew up in Queenstown, eh? But I think it's Roosdorp. I don't know. I think you got to put the bit of Afrikaans twang into it, is it not?
Great answer. Your answer sticks. No, I stick with you. Were born there. I trust you either way. And then, what food dish do you miss the most in South Africa? What local cuisine do you always yearn for?
My favorite meal is oxtail stew, which I enjoy. My wife cooks it for me every now and then, but I have to do something well. She likes like reward for her. She's like, if you achieve something, then you get it. So having oxtail on tap is always a good one.
Good man. Allan, thanks for being a quality human being. Good luck with everything, with the rest of the season, with the rest of the year. And thanks for the laughs and being good people. Away.
Cheers, my guys. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you.
There we go. It's simple. Just like rugby, you too can learn about playing the bounce in life. How? It's simple. We call it change science. If you want to learn all about it, get over here, down here, to the Change Exchange. Click now. Change Exchange. Go. Stop looking at me. Click over here. Change Exchange. Away. Change Exchange.